Every single weekday between 1 and 2 p.m., we release our ESPN Radio Sports Center style podcast called the Central Indiana Scoreboard Show. We feature the Pacers, Fever, Colts, IndyCar, IU, Purdue, Ball State, Taylor, Indiana Wesleyan, and IUK, plus the best high school sports coverage in all of Central Indiana. Come check it out. Right now, you are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode number 268.2, our WNBA and Indiana Fever season preview with John Robertson and Michelle Garmon. Michelle, of course, is the sports editor at the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader and has been a frequent critic of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. We'll see how she feels about the team. And John has been a Fever fan since the start.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, WNBA and Fever fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt. Producer Susie is in the control room. I'm at Stage 22 I'm at headquarters in Jeffersonville, Indiana. With me on Riverside, the Riverside app, which is, by the way, everybody, great app if you're into podcasting. I welcome in our NBA guy and our WNBA and Fever guy, John Robertson, to preview the WNBA and the Fever. He has on his Fever jersey right now. And we have Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader sports editor Michelle Garmon, also a big WNBA fan, a bit of a critic of Caitlin Clark, so you kind of get both sides here, and we're going to hear it. Look, I'm going to ask you the question, and you guys take it away. Take it any direction you want, but the question I have is, who are the favorites going into the season, and where do the Fever fit in? By the way, when Michelle is talking, there will be a bit of a noise because she is driving, trying to get out of the storms in central Indiana and head toward home. And she will have a better reception once she is home, but we needed to get going now. So there's going to be a little bit of noise, but it's not that big of a deal. She is definitely worth it. Let's start with you, John. Where do the Fevers fit into the race?
I'm going to say that the WNBA championship is going to come down to 3 teams with a possible sub 4th team. I think the Fever in the mix in the top 3. I don't know that they're necessarily the favorite. They made some great moves in the offseason. They showed a lot of talent. They showed a lot of spunk last year, but they made big moves in the offseason. I'm going to say New York, Liberty, and Minnesota Lynx are the top 2. Fever right there with them, maybe slightly below. And then wild card, I'm going to leave Las Vegas Aces as after all the moves they made and their people coming back without injuries, losing Kelsey Plum. I think they're potential, but I want to see how the team dynamic goes there. So I'm going to go Liberty, Lynx 1, 2, Fever 3, Aces 4. And those are the only real contenders, I think. Everybody else is just playing for whatever else. Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I was going to say, John, I kind of agree with you, except I put Fever 1. It might surprise you all, but I think the moves they made in the offseason are fantastic. I love their depth. I think, that's a lot like the Pacers. They have a lot of depth, and I think they have the most depth of any of the WNBA teams as far as really, I know Caitlin Clark draws a lot of attention, and I'm looking forward, believe it or not, I know I've critiqued her before, but I am looking forward to this year because I think she looks so much more relaxed. She's finally well rested. Going straight from the grind of college, all that media that they put on her to chase that record, and into that season was a lot. And I think she's feeling relaxed. I think there's great chemistry. That's why I think they've done a great job at building this Fever team, and I think they're the favorites. And then I am right along with the New York Liberty because Liberty are the defending champs, and they still have Brianna Stewart, Pennsylvania INF2, and other pieces. And defending title champs. And Audrey, The Lynx might be a little bit. It might depend a little bit too on if they can stay healthy, especially the season Collier. Because I mean, on a show tonight earlier, I guess I didn't see the game yet, but I saw she was playing well. And then the aces. In my text John the other day, I was like, if Jackson Young is 100% healthy, and if she stays healthy, and Chelsea Gray is healthy and stays healthy, with Asia Wilson, that's a nice three. I do think they're going to miss Sloan, and I'm not really sure about their depth.
So as far as the Fever goes, like I have them right there at the, tied with New York and with Minnesota, but I just want to see, I think the Fever's roster is going to come down to, can they gel the way that like the Pacers gel together? Like as a team, I think they can be great, and I think they have potential to be awesome. I just want to see how well they come together. Like I think they're from the videos you see of training camp and practice, it looks like they're having fun. It looks like they're really enjoying playing together. So I think there is potential for them to be really unstoppable, to be honest with you. But like I want to see how that comes together before I jump fully on for the record, I bet them to win the season before they made any of the trades. I got a really good odds on Fever to win the whole thing a long time ago. So I really do. I want them to win. Obviously, I'm a Fever fan. But I do think it's going to depend on how well the team chemistry comes together.
Feels like they may be 1 year away from being really great.
Maybe. You got Caitlin Clark. Like, Caitlin Clark is who she is, and we love Caitlin Clark. We have Aaliyah Boston, who I think, if she comes out and plays strong, is super, super good. Picking up the veterans that we got, really great. I love picking up Sophie. Sophie's a good pickup. Natasha Howard, good. And then DeWanna Bonner, I mean, she's a veteran. As long as she doesn't get tired, I mean, I don't remember exactly what her age is, but she's been in the league for a minute. So we'll see how she's holding up. But I love her. Like, I just love everybody on the team. And then you guys know, if you don't know, I'm a giant Lexi Hall stan. So Lexi Hall's my sixth girl off the bench. I think she's going to be doing big, big things. But yeah, I like the team depth, and I like what they have. I just want to see how well they come together to play.
And they also picked up Brianna Turner out of Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like Bonner. She's a veteran, but what Bonner and Turner bring to this Fever team, I think, and why they are such great pickups, is because they have been successful NBA and they have succeeded their teams, at that level. And so for a young, because otherwise Fever's relatively young, so they bring really good veteran experience and with the right kind of personality.
I really like what the social media team, or whatever you want to call it, the marketing team for the Fever is doing this year too. They're kind of just owning this, everybody in the W sees us as the villain, so screw it, we're the villain, and they're owning it. Like, their whole tagline for the year is "Now you know." If you didn't know before, now you know, and we're putting everybody on notice. And I love that. I think if the whole team buys into that mentality and they play with that, they're going to be really strong. So. I think it's going to be a good season. I'm really excited for it.
And I think the biggest thing is they've got a great coach. I mean, I was not before when they hired Chris Side. When she came in, I was never. She was not an exciting hire for me, knowing where the franchise had been. I just felt like they let it go fall apart after catching. I just hated that.
I'm willing to say that the coaching hire was maybe the biggest improvement of all the changes. Like, getting rid of Christy Sides and picking up Stephanie White. Like, obviously I like the players we got, but that might be the biggest upgrade of all of the moves from the offseason. Stephanie White's going to do good things with this much talent.
One of the first podcasts we ever had on the Central Indiana Sports Report was Michelle talking about how much she disliked Christy Sides. She said they'd never win with her as the head coach.
The game, I think the spotlight was too big for Christy Sides. Honestly, she got out-coached all the time. She didn't have the courage to make the right plays, especially with a personality like Caitlin Clark and like all the eyes of everybody with Caitlin Clark. So she just didn't have the guts for it. I think Stephanie White does.
I agree, John. I wholeheartedly agree. I'm a huge, even though she is a graduate of Purdue University, I really respect her, and I've always been a big fan of Stephanie White.
Well, she's already made kind of a big decision where she said Sophie Cunningham's not starting tomorrow. Everybody wants Sophie to play tomorrow because they're excited for Sophie to be in Indiana, and Stephanie's already said game opener against the Sky. Sophie's sitting. It's a long season. We want to make sure she's healthy. We want to make sure she's good to go for the full run, not just the starting home opener. And I respect that she's willing to do that.
Plus, it's just the Sky anyway, right?
I mean, yeah,
well,
that's
going to be one of the more improved teams, don't you think, John? I think because they also got new coaching, and I think for them, when I watched a little bit of their preseason games, and Kim Cardoso is playing very well. It all depends on her. I mean, we know kind of how Blood Angel Reese does, but Cardoso, if she steps up and is a force inside, that really helps them.
I think if the coaching staff focuses on playing team basketball in Chicago, they can greatly improve. Last year, and I don't want to rip on Angel Reese. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, I don't like her personality necessarily.
She's fantastic. She's a fantastic player.
Yeah, but I think she's a role player. She's Dennis Rodman for the WNBA. If she just owns that part of it, you don't think so?
No,
I think she's I think she's the Dennis Rodman.
She scores
rebounds
too much for that.
Yeah, but it takes so much.
It's low percentage a lot of time. It looks pretty bad a lot of times, but she's not a bad scorer.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and rip on her. I think she's got a role to play, but I think when you try to make her the focus of the entire game plan, it's not going to work. In my opinion,
she has potential to be one of the best players in the league, I believe.
She does have potential. I think she lets her ego get in the way, and I think like when they were keeping her in for those double streaks because that was a narrative, and like the coach mishandled that completely. Like they needed to say, this is not a priority. We need to figure out how to win rather than getting you doubles, and that wasn't what was happening. So Cardoso's great. Agree 100% with Michelle. Cardoso's great. Reese is good. I think that we'll have to see what happens with Van Lith. I like Van Lith. I like Haley Van Lith. I mean, I think she's going to make that roster more exciting, but I don't. I do think that when the Sky come into Indianapolis, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. So, like, they're always going to bring something, some level of heat to the game. I don't think they get away with as much shoving and pushing as they did last year. I think our roster is not going to allow that this year. You also have Kennedy Carter in Mexico. She's no longer in the league, so we don't have to worry about that muggings going on.
So there have been a few teams that were pretty good last year that haven't even been mentioned yet. Connecticut, of course, eliminated the Fever in the playoffs. The Seattle Storm have been good for years now. See either one of those teams being a factor, guys.
No, Connecticut's trash this year. Connecticut's a lottery team for sure. They may get the number one pick. They've lost everybody. They lost everybody and their coach. The only person there is left is who'd they trade for from Chicago last year?
Oh, I forget, but you're right. They lost Alyssa Thomas, and then they lost Stephanie White. Stephanie White was a huge reason they were as good as they were last year because they had a great player in Alyssa Thompson, but they did not necessarily have a lot of talent, but Stephanie took to what their strengths were. And so, no, I'm John. Connecticut's they won't make the playoffs. Seattle, I don't know. I don't know about it. Lloyd, and for them, and they've got the girls that can dunk, and they've got a backup that oil, but I don't know if they had Storm have been good, but they haven't been at that level. Girls retired, so it's going to be interesting. I think the Wings and the Sparks are going to be in a free.
Well, let me stick with Seattle for a minute because here's my big take for my bold take for the year. I think their draft pick Malonga is going to be the most exciting rookie of the entire league. I really believe she's going to be the rookie potentially Rookie of the Year if she gets playing time, but I think she's going to be the most exciting rookie to watch this year.
The dunker, right?
Yeah, she's the one that can dunk pretty regularly, pretty easily. And
Yes, she can.
to me, that has potential to really shake up not just one person, but like when we start getting dunking in the WNBA more regularly, like that has potential to shift the whole game a little bit.
It does, but you know what? I'll tell you what. The bad thing, I mean, and it is nice in there, but when that happens, playing soccer and basketball. So
Interesting.
I think it's great. I think it can be an exciting element. I just hope that it will change it. I just hope that both players don't. And I hope it doesn't create more injuries.
No, I agree. I just think it has potential to be really exciting. I think she can be, depending on how the team plays around her, I think that could be a really exciting rookie. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Paige. Everybody expects Paige to be, the rookie to watch. And I watched the game tonight between the Wings and the Lynx, and it really did remind me of Caitlin's first couple of games. She came out, she played pretty well. Really well. She played well. She only had 10 points. But, she looked like fatigue's going to be early on, just like you come straight out of college, she won the championship, and then you got to go right into the WNBA season. So it's going to take a minute, and she's got to catch up to the speed of the game. So Paige is great and going to be good, but I'm really excited to see what the Dominique, is it Malonga? I'm looking at the name, but I just want to make sure I pronounce it right. I think it's Malonga, but I think she's going to be exciting. So as far as Seattle goes, they've got Gumuke, Skylar Diggins, Gabby Williams. Katie Lou Samuelson's out for the season. She already had an ACL tear, so she's done. That's a former Fever player. I'm watching the first ever Golden State game right now. I got it on against Los Angeles, and it's starting off okay.
Valkyries is a cool name. Before we move on, since you brought it up, this was a topic I was going to bring up in a minute. What's the perfect number of WNBA franchises?
It needs to be an even. I don't like the odd number thing. So I'll say 16.
John, that's exactly the number I was going to say. I think 16, and then if they can continue to grow, and the women's game can continue to grow, you might get might get more than that, but I do think 16 would be a great number.
8 and 8. 8 East, 8 West. I like that. Toronto comes in next year, and then I guess they're going to add 2 more after that, but I don't know where those are going.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them doesn't end up in Nashville. Candace Parker, Tim McGraw, Peyton Manning, and are all part of a group put in a bid to have the WNBA franchise, and they want to call it the Summit in honor of the late great Pat Summit.
Ooh.
I think if you're putting those names to a franchise, I think you'd be stupid if you were the WNBA not to award them a franchise.
Absolutely. That sounds like gold right there.
Yeah, I think everybody would be invested in that one. So they just need 2 more then. We're already at 14 and when you count Toronto next year. By the way, I just want to go on record saying I hate Toronto's colors and logo. I think they're terrible. I think it looks like a calculator logo from the 80s.
How do the Valkyries look?
How does the team look, or how does the
look? The team look.
Oh, I like the color. I like the branding. I like the logo. There's a lot to unpack with it, I think, but I like it.
Yeah, and I think Valkyries is a cool name. The WNBA has not done great with naming their franchises, I don't think. But Valkyries is very cool. The Fever opened their season against the rival Chicago Sky, as we mentioned, and Angel Reese. I would guess, is that the Fever's biggest rival right now?
Yeah, as far as media-wise, I would say it's the rival because they're going to play that narrative of Angel versus Caitlin as long as they can. That was that's the equivalent of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson in the 79 or 80 thing. So I think they're going to say that. I really feel like it's kind of Fever versus the world. You know, if you really want my opinion, I feel like the Fever's rival is everyone because the other teams have the chip on their shoulder. Like, yes, they like the eyes on the league, but I mean, you got to admit that most teams are probably frustrated that every game's a home game for the Fever because everybody's coming to see the Fever.
I completely understand both the appreciation of Caitlin Clark and the resentment. Completely get it.
Yeah, like if I was in the league, I would completely feel the same way probably. From an outside perspective, and I guess it's hard for me not to be a little biased since we live in Indiana and I've gone to Fever games for years. I'm going to say that, like, be happy that you're getting eyes. You've wanted eyes for a long time. You're finally getting them. Be happy. That doesn't mean take it easy on Caitlin Clark. I wasn't one last year saying, like, let her get away with whatever she wants just because, I mean, make her play hard, but, like, appreciate the eyes she's bringing.
And the more eyes she brings, the more media attention, the more eyes it brings, and so on and so on. So, assuming she has success, this is probably a bit of a rocket ship, the WNBA.
I think so. And I think you can tell the difference between the true Fever fans and the people that are just in it for Caitlin Clark. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and rip on people that are watching just for Caitlin Clark, but there's a big difference between the people that really care about the team and her as part of the team, and then the people that just want to look at her and be like, only about Caitlin.
To me, it's not so much Caitlin Clark. And I mean, sometimes I don't like her. You know, I didn't like some of her antics, but my thing with Caitlin Clark is I can respect, and I do think she's a really good player. I think what people don't like are the fanatical fans that follow her. They act like she invented women's basketball, and she's the first great player to play in women's basketball. And that's not true. I mean, did the crowds come up? Yes, but the Tennessee Vols sold out. They outperformed their men's basketball team for years. So it's not like that all of a sudden, people everywhere were watching. And it helped that she was on that scoring record and everything and more media attention. And yes, everybody should be grateful that she's brought that to the league. And I really do think that more of it is some of just those fanatical fans that don't really know. And to be honest, if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'm probably cringing at some of my fans as well as what they say.
That's the point I wanted to make. Can you really hold Caitlin accountable for what those stupid fans say? Like, I don't think that's fair to hold her accountable or to dislike her because people are using her as a reason to bash others. That drives me nuts because, like, if somebody who is like, if I were an athlete and somebody liked me, but then they were using me for, like, they were bad people, I can't be responsible for everything they do. I can't be responsible for everything my students do. So why should, she should definitely, like, when she said, I denounce racism and I denounce all these things you guys are saying, and yes, we stand on the shoulders of people who have also come before us. Like, that's all good, and that should be enough. But for some people, it's not. Like, the people that want to use both sides of it for an agenda are going to do it anyway.
Saturday, Sky at Fever, 3 o'clock on ABC. And then Tuesday, the Fever host the Atlanta Dream in the Fever Dream game on NBA TV. And then Wednesday, Pacers and Knicks. Thursday, Fever and Dream. Friday, Pacers and Knicks. Sunday, Pacers and Knicks. Tuesday, Pacers and Knicks. Wednesday, Fever and Mystics. Thursday, Pacers and Knicks. Friday, Fever and Connecticut Sun. Saturday, Pacers and Knicks. And then we got a couple of days until the potential Game 7. Game 6 and Game 7. That is quite a couple weeks for Indiana basketball.
if you're a basketball fan in Indiana right now, you are really excited about the next 2 weeks, right? Like, I mean, we've got a lot going on, and hopefully the Pacers, continue it and keep it going. I'd love that. I know we're talking WNBA tonight, but obviously we want to see the Pacers keep it going. But yeah, that's a lot of Fever. I'm excited for the Fever Liberty matchup on the 24th, on Saturday the 24th. I think that one's going to be good. I think there's potential for the Fever to split with the Dream on the Tuesday, Thursday, back-to-back with the same team. I'm just looking at the opening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. I think the Fever come out with at least 4 wins. What do you think, Michelle?
No, I agree, John, wholeheartedly. I think at least 4. I would not be surprised if the Fever were perfect through the first 3 weeks.
Whoa!
I just like this team. I like the depth of this team. I like the fact that they can score in multiple ways. I like the fact that they've got a coach that will know how to utilize everything she's got, including that inside game in Boston. I look for Leah Boston to have a great year as well, because she's going to have a coach that's going to help her get there, and not just. My thing with Sides is I don't know that she didn't have an offensive or really a defensive philosophy or could take advantage of mismatches or things. She just threw players out there, and so and a young team, they need coaching. So I just think it's going to be great, and I think she's not going to have to. Her and Caitlin aren't going to have to play all the minutes they've had to play in the past every game.
That was one of the things we were talking about, Sides, just putting people out there and not having rotations. Like, Caitlin ended up playing the whole game almost so much last year. I don't think we're going to see that nearly as often, if at all. I just, when we're talking about the first week or so, I'm going to say they may drop one to New York, the first meeting with New York, and then one of the other games, sometimes the better team just loses, so that's why I said 4 out of 6 to start. But I think it's going to be an exciting season. I'm glad that I know enough players now that I can just watch the league and enjoy it. What Fever players that we lost are you the saddest to see go? Because I know there's a few that got moved on that I was sad to see leave. So I'm curious if there's anybody you're going to miss, Michelle or Greg.
There's one obvious one. And that's Grace. We're going to miss her.
Yeah, and then I hate it.
Really, not necessarily as a player, but as a member of the team. Going to miss her for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna miss her, and this is terrible. But I don't think that there's I don't think there's any others that we'll miss. I think the roster got upgraded. Nelisa Smith was good when she was good, but she was bad when she was bad.
She wasn't really great tonight for the minutes I saw.
Yeah, and so inconsistent play. The thing with her is, if she wasn't playing good offense, then her defense she wouldn't play defense either. And I'm just not. So I just think they upgraded so many positions. They kept, I think, players that they needed to keep. The big thing was it was great to see Kelsey Mitchell re-sign with the Fever, especially because she's, an original Fever player too. And, just it's just a form of backcourt.
So as far as basketball play wise, I 100% agree. We we upgraded pretty much everyone that we moved, but as far as personality and what they added to the morale of the team, I'm gonna miss Erica Wheeler. I thought she was great. Play, we definitely upgraded off Erica, but she was so much fun and such a good energy on the bench. And I'm gonna miss Timmy. I liked Timmy a lot. I know I
forgot about Timmy.
Yeah, she wasn't shooting very well right at the beginning, when she first came back from injury last season, but she ran the court. She was a court runner, and when they let her go to the Valkyrie, I was a little sad, but I still think all the rosters upgraded, so I'm glad you brought up Kelsey. I don't know how we got through this podcast without bringing up Kelsey Mitchell, because that girl is a lightning bolt. I love watching her run the court. I'm excited for this roster, Michelle. I am excited for this roster.
I am too. It's fun. It's going to be, they're going to have a lot, of energy. It's just a good group. I mean, Clark, Mitchell, Boston, Bonner, Howard, Cunningham, and we can't forget the young lady that you're repping tonight, John, in Lexi Hall.
Lexi Hall. Lexi Hall is my favorite.
She is dynamite. She's just one of those. She's a player too that would be. I can only imagine where she would be if she'd had somebody better than Christy Sides coming into the league. That's why I feel sorry for anybody that played with the Fever that only had Christy Sides coming in out of the league, out of college, because they got no development.
We fell in love with Lexi last year, just the way her season went, right? Like, let's talk about Lexi Hall for a minute, because I am the biggest Lexi Hall stan in maybe in the state, maybe. And it's because she came out and she started on the bench and wasn't getting a lot of minutes, but then when she got her minutes, she made the most of them, and then she worked her way into the starting lineup, and then she made herself like a vital part of the roster, and she just worked hard, and that was her whole thing. Just work hard, make the most of your time, play defense, and do everything well. I love Lexi Hall as a player. She is by far... Like, she's the player I want my daughter to model herself after in basketball. Because, I mean, you may not have the Caitlin Clark level of talent, but you can go out there and work harder than anybody else. I was just looking at this roster, and, like, honestly, when you go down the roster, we got, like, there's nobody bad on the roster. Damaris Dantas is going to get great minutes, and she's excellent. And, we got Michaela Timpson is our rookie, and she's been playing great in the preseason. I think she's going to, like, when she gets minutes, I think she's going to make the most of them. I like the whole roster.
Michelle, John, thank you so much for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. Let's give it your last thoughts. We'll start with you, John.
I'm excited for the WNBA season. I think it's going to, like, the storylines are there more than just, I mean, for Indiana fans, obviously the Fever are looking great, but I think there's other teams to watch, and it's going to build some rivalries, and it's kind of going to grow. So I think this is like the breakout season for the WNBA, and I'm excited for it.
I agree with you, John. I think it's going to be a great season for them. I just don't want them to implode. I don't want them to start talking about. I know they got a new collective bargaining agreement coming up, and talking about making the kind of money that the NBA stars, because that can kill their league. Because though I do believe they deserve to be paid more, they have to remember they play half the number of games that the men do. And that's, and they don't play, I think they have play 40-minute games. The men play 48-minute games. So there are some discrepancies. So to sit there and say you want equal pay, I think you want to be paid for your value. But the only way that can really happen is for the WNBA to keep making money. I mean, even though they sold out, they kind of lost money last year a little bit. I mean, I will say I give kudos to the Simon family for what they're doing for the Fever and to build and what they've already done. I'll tell you why. To come to work and play in an organization that's run by the Simons, I think they're fantastic owners, and I'm glad they're right here in Indiana. I'm glad that we have them right here in Indy.
I think they're raising the bar for everybody. I think all the other teams are taking notice, and they're kind of like that's helping raise the bar.
Agreed. Thanks, guys. That was great. Thanks to John and Michelle, and thank you for listening. If you'd like to help us continue to grow and thrive, all you have to do is share these podcasts with your friends and family. We humbly appreciate it in advance. Got like 5-10 seconds before I got to do my thing here. I don't have any jokes. I'm just going to say Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I listen.